Hello, everyone, whoever is here. Hello, Kimmy's on. I know you've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. Hello. Oh my gosh. I think Sassy59 is Stacy, right? Okay, good. Joni's here. Oh my gosh, Mary Jo. So nice to see you guys. Thursday, end of summer over here, or maybe in the middle of summer. Yay! Oh my gosh, so nice to see all you guys. Deb's here. Good morning, good morning. Yay! Okay, oops, let me open up this drawer. Oh my gosh, you guys. It is so, I get so happy to see all you guys. You know, it's really so nice to have a community. I love it, you know, especially, I know for me, you know, I had my raising kids all these years, and my daughter is off and going, and my son is off and going quite some time ago. And, you know, hi there, Sandy. So I just realized yesterday, you know, how much of a loss I'm feeling. Oh, there's Jean here. Nice to see you guys. Yay. Oh, thank you. I feel so good. It's like, you know, for me, I don't know if you guys have the same experiences. It's like when it's hard for me to feel initial emotion. So it's like I start getting uncomfortable and I can't sleep and I feel stressed out. And then, oh, you know, and then I give myself a little bit of time. Hey, Christina. Then I'll give myself a little bit of time, and the real reason for my uncomfortableness starts to surface, you know. And for me, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm just feeling a big loss with the old ways, you know. So that's kind of me. It's like I feel so many new beginnings happening, and one of them is that I get to be with so many people my own age, which is so much fun. And in the fashion world, hello everybody. Oh my gosh, so nice to see you guys today. So that's why, you know, today and coming in, I was so grateful thinking about this community that we have and this group that we have. And, you know, I have my students that in intentional metalsmithing I met with yesterday, but it's like, this is just kind of the casual one where, hey everybody, okay. And Christina, so nice to see you. I know I told you guys before, it just makes me so good. It's a good talisman for me when I see Christina's name come up on here and some of you guys who I've really known for quite some time. Oh my gosh, Jay is here. So, Jay, you know, it's so interesting. Jay is from India. I have been doing layers of studying this Indian jewelry. And, you know, for me, way back in time, I actually used to study jewelry from Thailand and study jewelry from all over West Africa, East Africa, all through South America. And, you know, and I studied the Naga people, just the jewelry, but it's so different than traditional Indian jewelry. It's so refreshing to have Jay here. I am not even going to really attempt that subject. I'm doing a lot of studying, and my friend Stacy suggested a new book that's being published. I did get a suggestion of a book that's out of print of East Indian jewelry, but you know, and I'll give you guys that one. It was by this woman who I just met, who I've known for many years and got to meet up with again in Oberlin here. Hello, you guys. Nice to see everybody. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, you guys, as we're talking about talisman today, I want to make sure that at some point today, I know I am going to just give some really positive thoughts to these people who, you know, are once again being hit, you know, with that hurricane out there. Oh my gosh, you know, you almost feel guilty getting up, and we have to just try to keep moving on and finding subjects to enjoy ourselves, you know, while acknowledging all of this. So, you know, it really is appropriate. So, hi everybody. I wore my prayer box necklace today. I know you guys got to see it on social media. This one has layers of prayer boxes on the side. I kind of, you know, I built it for a number of different reasons. I built it for intentional metalsmithing to kind of go beyond Bezels Expanded. I built this to really embed some new words that I'm thinking of. I also built this as a challenge to see all what I can do with this butane torch that I have here. I really love just this little kitchen setup, and I really wanted to get into some real, you know, a lot of depth, a lot of boxes, a lot of hollow forms, and this really is the subject today. So Thank you. It's really light. I feel really good wearing it. I clipped it a little closer than normally I would clip it. Normally this, I usually have it a little bit longer, but I think for me, I like this size. Normally I have another piece along with it. I know yesterday I did. The boxes are sealed. So one of the things with prayer boxes that I guess, when thinking about it, and if you Google prayer boxes, it's not always called prayer boxes. Oh my gosh. I looked up all these different names for these boxes, and I don't even know if I could, one of them from the Tibetan Buddhists. This is in so many cultures. The Tibetan Buddhists call it a Gaha, G-H-A-U, which I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Latin America, they're called package amulets. African American conjuring bags, like down in New Orleans, and that type of magical African type of, joining. They were called conjuring bags. South America, charm vials. For us here in the United States, if you are in the United States, we call them like wish bags. So there's so many different names, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they open and close, although I do love these that open and close. I do have with me, what did I do with my open and close? Do I have it over there? Well, I have got pictures. Hang on, let me grab them. Let me grab my piece. Okay, well, I have some little tiny ones here. I actually went off, let me get a handful of this, and then I'm going to also show it on my other piece here too. I wanted to mention to you guys, there is a fabulous place. I've known her forever. She's kind of from this history that I used to. This is just a small little taste of all these pieces. This one here, these are really these prayer boxes. They say any prayer boxes from India, and I know Jay's on today, so the pressure's on, either have, these little flowers on them. It's important with flowers from India, boxes from India. When I went in to buy pieces from India, I also saw, I know, they're pretty cool, right? So those are actually sealed. There's so many that are sealed. The pieces that weren't sealed, well, if I'm going to have my camera this way, hang on a second. I'm going to have to put another piece on. Oh my goodness, how can I lose this opportunity, right guys? Here's all the layers, yay! And this one makes me feel good right here. This would be good to have a yellow one, but there definitely are boxes that open and close and have scrolls in them. I have a number of different pieces here, and I'll start showing you some photos this Jay is going to recognize. Although the interesting thing is, as I was researching prayer boxes, I found really deep connection to Yemen, which is in India as well, which this piece, do you guys kind of recognize this style? It looks Indian, the ring in the middle. Oh my gosh, look at how gorgeous the little charms are on there. This is a Yemen style, and with Yemen, which is a Jewish, in the Indian area, just in many different, it was the Persian, and now it's the east part of Africa, and they talk about, there are these little capsules that have the little bells attached to them in India, in all areas. I know these are also worn in India, so there's so many different layers for prayer boxes. And I actually brought with you guys today, when I was researching the Tibetan prayer boxes or amulets, this was a big one that came up, and this is Buddhist. And I bought this years ago. I can't remember where I bought it from, but I thought it'd be pretty cool. I don't know if, I thought it'd be pretty cool in a little bit. This actually was tied together. I removed the tie, and this is gonna open. So I can show us on the air what's inside of here. And I'll give you a little bit of history on that too. I hope it's appropriate. Islamic pendants, yes, there you go. Thank you. So Jay's on here. I think when I do, I'm really doing a lot of studying. I don't know Jay is the Maharasara studio. Is that how you say it, Jay? So I thought maybe when we start getting into Indian, for really East Indian jewelry. A lot of jewelry is still worn to this day as wedding jewelry. And I'm actually going to kind of do a little, see if I'll have a little meeting with Jay, and maybe she can really help me on this presentation. She really knows it well. She's passed over some good movies to me on East Indian jewelry. So I'm just going to hit on a little topic today. I'm not going to cover, I'm finding that just these small little sections work out really well. Hi, Christy. Nice to see you. Yay. So, the prayer boxes actually, it was such an interesting poetic statement. So they are the Islamic. They're called, I find them as Buddhism. I found Hinduism, prayer boxes, Islamic. I found just men, and then of course here's the American version that I like to do. So, really I thought this statement was very poetic, and I actually want to read what these are about. It's right here. It is a prayer. The prayer cases are like a dream. It contains the individual's dearest needs, wishes, and fears. In many communities, the word for prayer case is amulet. Is the inside, what you write is the same as the outside. So I have found, interestingly enough, in many cultures. Let me start popping on some of the photos that I have here, and let me see if I can get into. This is the book that I pulled a lot of. It really gives me a nice general information about, and I actually have this on my Amazon site. I actually started putting all these books that I'm referring, actually Christina started putting all these books that I'm referring to you guys up on the Amazon site. So why not? If you guys want to pop on there and order it, then I just get a little credit for it. I think I need to have 10 people order from there just for me to keep my Amazon site. So I just thought, as long as I'm referring all these tools and all these, just products, that maybe I just can get a list together and it'll be on the Amazon site too. We've still got our trip for January. Yeah, Jay is signed up. There's only like 3 people signed up for India. But, if we have 4, we still can do it. If the doors open, we don't know. If you decide to put money down on India, it's completely 100% refundable if it's due to COVID. So no worries. I'm so excited. So I went and bought these pieces. Silver is getting high here, so it's reflected on that. The Indian pieces and jewelry, and I really got the nice handful of bells. I love that they make so much noise. These actually, you're talking about a piece like this that opens. So what I found, here's some of the pieces that I actually wanted to show you guys today with the boxes and Indian pieces and small little goddesses. I feel like the Indian the Indian jewelry and adornment reflects so much of the culture, and there's so much symbolism. It's so fascinating. I don't know if I've seen a culture that has so much richness and symbolism embedded into their whole world, that their adornment and jewelry is hand in hand. So it's so interesting. Like I said, this is like layers. There's a new book coming up, and I will refer at the end of this, a book. I haven't even received it yet, but it was referred to me by this woman, Ruth, who is an old friend of mine from Bead Paradise. There's a company, it's beadparadise.com, and she sells all of these gorgeous ancient pieces. She's here. So, our great Tibetan. Yes. So, it's interesting. As I'm looking at, one of the confusing things is that I'm looking at the subject prayer box from different cultures, and what I'm finding is I can find it across the board. So this piece here, if you look in the left-hand corner, that is a Tibetan piece. Or I'm sorry, that's an Italian piece. That's an Italian prayer box that opens, and prayers are inserted in there. On the right is a piece that is from, oh my gosh, did I? That one, well, you guys can read that as much as I can. And the one on the bottom opens. So these 3 open. So, it's so interesting to me. Here's some of the Jewish, this is some of the prayers put inside. So what I'm finding is that the prayers that you write inside these boxes are the important part. There's a huge elaboration on putting these beautiful, beautiful writings together. Or you could, so there's two ways that you can do the prayer box. One, you write it on a scroll and it's inserted. Two, it's written right onto the metal. Usually if you have paper like this, you like to have this surrounded by leather. So I have a beautiful leather piece right here. This one actually is from East Africa. And here it is here. You can hear that there's embedded, a nice prayer, and it gets wrapped. So really when you have these scrolls in jewelry, I think it's just under Susan Lenart, right, Christina? We can't really put links on this one. I think it's also on my website. Yeah, okay. Christina says she's going to email the link. She'll email it out to you guys. Thank you so much. So this one here, it's woven. You can see the edges of this are woven by grass. You can see up close. This actually is a type of little wood, but on the inside is this leather, and it's a bound prayer. So your prayers, sometimes they're words from the Quran. Sometimes they're things that you're looking for in your life when they're sealed. This one is definitely sealed. It's not to be opened or closed. You can see it, can slip in these three different ways here. And here's the Yemen ring that I had on earlier. The ring to the right is a prayer box also. It's from Morocco. Isn't that cool? So with the inscriptions on here, the circular shapes are always endless life. Boxes, we call them generally boxes, but the circle shapes like this one, that one, these really are, why leather? Well, it's either leather, so it should be bound in leather because you want your prayer to be protected. So if you're out and around in the world, you want your prayer to be protected. So really there's elaborate folds that are done, and then either it's slipped into metal or it's just stitched up around there. I have had with me many different talisman that are in circles and triangle shapes that literally are leathers that are folded 3 or 4 times and then stitched around the edges and worn. I don't know if I have a photo of it there, but I do have one in here that I'll just hold up to you guys. Like this one here. This is in that book that I referred to. So here's a piece of leather, and that was folded and stitched, and your prayer is inside the leather, and it's protected. Now, when you're wearing these type of talisman or rings or, here's a little piece like this one here from India that's just amazing. It's teeny tiny. It doesn't open, but you can imagine the tiny prayer that goes inside here. That might be a big one. Here's a ring here from India that actually has the goddesses on the front, and it is a prayer. So many times you find the goddesses inscribed on the outside. Yes, I know. So when you have your prayer box with you or your intention, especially like I'm finding a lot of with the Jewish and the Hindu, and you shouldn't really go into cemeteries with them. You shouldn't, and Muslim, with the Quran, there's pieces of the Quran in there. You shouldn't go into cemeteries. You don't want to go into dirty places with your talismans, such as bathrooms, cemeteries, were 2 of them mentioned. Sterling silver, they're a coin silver. So these have a lot of sterling in them, but they also are from melted down European coins. So a lot of these old pieces that you see that were in Thailand and India and all these areas, in came all these coins, and people were like, whatever, So they were melted down and put into jewelry in more of a nomadic spirit, which I love. I really kind of love that nomadic spirit of carrying your pieces with you. How amazing is that? So also, let's see. So this is really talking about, this is also a professor who did this book. A lot of my information came from there. These are Yemen. So this is Yemen, and Yemen is Jewish amulets. So, they're put inside here. Now, Muslim, there's these Muslim amulets that also open and close, and I've gotten from India years ago. They were literally pieces that you can open the end and change your messages around. Some of these were just used as passing notes, the women passing notes to each other. In many Muslim countries, the women really aren't allowed, at least back in time, to communicate with each other. So this was kind of a nice little secret that the women had, and you could pass it to your neighbors. Yeah, I know, isn't that interesting? So, so some of these you'd bring the whole jewelry talisman with you. You'd have a servant bring them, seal it up with like a type of wax or, to get it sealed, so the carrier isn't going to open it up, read it, report on you. The reason these tabs are on the back of here, I am told, is so it sits nice and flat and doesn't flip around. So this is actually the back side of it, and this is the front. So those two little flat circles there are so it sits flat and nice and sits exactly where it's supposed to sit. Aren't we always trying to find those fluctuations in our, we're always trying to find things like that in our jewelry. So interesting. So this is also, I have to show you guys this inscription and talisman that I have here, because this piece, it's in this book, and this is, this actually went into the Jewish Yemen, and back in time, these little glass talisman pieces that have inscriptions on there for protection, actually they had Bayer aspirin out there that would help people get rid of your headache, get rid of pain, and people wouldn't use it unless there was a magical force that went along with this type of aspirin that gets rid of your headache. They're like, no comprende. We don't go for just a pill that removes things without having God or, prayers or magic involved. So literally Bayer had to start putting these type of prayers and inscriptions onto the bottom of the Bayer aspirin, because people didn't believe that these would work without the amulet. So isn't that interesting? It's always something pretty fascinating in these type of pieces here. Let me make sure that I have a photo from back here that I want to get to. So, oh my gosh, okay, let's see. Let's see if I can get to this. This is, I was just in my friend. She had so much of her jewelry in there. Indian, Yemen, it all kind of was mixed up. I mean, I asked for Indian. So you can see it's so interesting, some of these rings, that look at this tall ring there. It's actually in these type of studies, just these height. I've always loved having this type of height, this type of patterning. If you see, it's on my ring finger there. And also the piece in front is a piece I have on hold, and I'm, of course, oh my gosh, I want it so bad. But look at all this tiny chain that is in here and these really light pieces. So kind of nice, So this is my visit to all of this Indian jewelry that I thought was so fascinating here. And there's another prayer box that's tall. This one is Yemen as well. So, it's so interesting. It's so interesting, all of these type of pieces. And I'll put it back to here because that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. So really, I've also seen amulets, and I've turned into prayer box. There's a whole section, actually there's a whole book on this useful jewelry that people wore throughout time, especially jewelry, Victorian times. In India, it's where you would wear this jewelry and they were capsules and containers. Recently in the 60s, they've had pencils in them, but at different times they've had scissors and needles and like something to pick your teeth and, just all this type of really useful type of practical things, which I consider, little boxes and different things to carry around with you, but not necessarily carrying a prayer. So, there's so many interesting things to all of this that I find so fascinating. So that's the inside of that. You guys got to see a lot of this. So I actually have this book, I have this piece here, and what I want to do, it is so hot here in Cleveland, guys, so. Okay, what are you saying, Jay? Ethnography 101. So ethnographic 101 is really all the symbolism and everything behind it. But little containers are so useful in being worn, putting your prayers in. I mean, you know, if you think about any type of religion, any type of spirituality, any of this, you know, it's like so wonderful. For me, it's like I know what I have, what words, what intentions I was working with this piece. You know, it's kind of new beginnings when I was working on this, because I'm working on the whole concept of, you know, working on the whole concept of putting together something new and elaborate, so elaborate and elegant. You can see me sweating here, it's hot. But also, you know, I think I told you I'm ending a lot of things in my life and I'm starting new beginnings, and I'm looking and searching for a new way. Oh my gosh, it's so hot. Allergies are bad too. Oh my gosh, it's just like needs to rain, right guys? So it's like in August, you know, it just gets to this place where I like to come in early in the morning and work in my studio, so it's nice. So I have with me this piece here, this Tibetan prayer box, which I definitely saw as a prayer box. You can see, you know, there really is an honored deity. The symbolism is all really important elements on here. And I opened up the back of this, and you can see it's embedded. This one is not embedded in Buddhism with, oh my gosh, I know it's, oh my gosh, 95, we're not even that. It's supposed to rain, but you know, we're not even that. I'm gonna actually take this out. This has been in there forever. So you can see there's a deity that was pressed in there, and there's a piece of glass here. So the deity was actually pressed, and there's a holder in here. So the deity was pressed up against the glass by this towel right here. So you can see the impression in here. Maybe there's nothing inside. Sometimes you find inside different herbs. You know, one of my talks here was about herbs, like back the East Indian Trade Company would go in to get these magical herbs from China that were healing properties and magical properties, you know. I don't know if there's anything in here, but it sure is an old, I think we've all seen this before. Oh, there's another one in here. Oh my gosh, there's 3 different colors in here. So let's see if there's anything in the center. It's 3 different prayer flags that are put together, 3 different colors of prayer flags. And prayers on them. They're imprinted with the prayers, as well as the outside. So this actually was all in here to press this deity that was important to this particular family that had this piece. And this, I'm gonna have to research who this is. I know. I mean, I didn't, you know, so actually Tibetan I didn't research as much because this piece was so interesting, but this is a piece that I've had in my house for so long. So I really do need to research this deity that I have in my house, if anybody knows. Yeah. You know, I actually, when I was in Indonesia, I picked up the deity for removing obstacles. And it was so interesting because when I was in Indonesia, I put this little deity down and put it, you know, which is Hindu, which I'm really loving the whole Hindu. It's with yoga, it's with, you know, it's very complex. And I know, pretty cool, isn't it? So, you know, I think it's important because someone actually really embedded a lot of energy and time into this work of magic. So it's like we have to be, you know, we have to be aware of what we have around us and in our surroundings, you know, because of different layers of energy and all of this. So, you know, if it's one of your beliefs, it's like I believe in prayer boxes. I believe a person is always attracted to it. When I was reading about, there's a little bit to do with it in, you know, in this book here, where they talked about, in this book here, that you guys know, I talk about this book a lot. This actually is a cheval ring, a talisman, and let me see if I have, I know I took the photo of it in here. Let me find that. And it's a technique that's done, and it's like most men, there it is, most men wear this ring on a regular basis. And this is definitely where you don't want to go into dirty places. You don't want to carry your ring into the bathroom. And this is in the West African area. Oh my gosh, it's really hard for me to even pronounce this wrong. Burkina Faso we all know Niger, so it was in Niger. But there's a man, you know, and in this area of Niger, when you're making a prayer box like this, they're definitely prayer boxes, and they have, you know, some of their spiritual writings on the top, and they specifically say in there, it's so interesting, you just only do this block lettering. You can never have your letters touching each other, which is different from me because I always do handwriting. You know, I do handwriting inside my boxes. The name of this book is Legacy. This is on the, this is one of my very, very favorites. I know I talk about this book always. Anytime I'm talking to you guys about a new subject, this is all West African silversmiths, and it's more about technique, you know, and there's a little bit of their stuff put in there, but it's published by Tim McRae, and it's so interesting to me. I always, whenever I'm talking about subjects such as a prayer box or any filigree or engraving, I can always find a good reference to something in this book. It's very interesting, you know, very interesting. So this is this book. So you guys will definitely see that if you guys go to the my Amazon site, all these books are listed, and that I love, you know, a couple more. It's like I'm finding some of these books from the 70s. I had one book that I thought I would, it was all these photos of Indian jewelry, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna find a lot of information. And really in the 70s, some of these books were really light on information, but they just gave you a gallery of photos, which if you think about it, we didn't have access to a gallery of photos back in the 70s. Now we can just, you know, pop onto the internet and look up anything. So, you know, it's not as necessary. So some of them are kind of beautiful but empty. And what did I want to say to you guys? There was something that I wanted to tell you guys. Oh, thank you. I know. I mean, it's just, yeah, so that, yes. So Legacy, it's this French man who travels all over West Africa, and he has spent 10 years there just working with all these goldsmiths and silversmiths and all these techniques, and you know, he got to sit in their studios and work with these men. You know, it's like many times for a woman, especially in these areas or in Muslim areas, it's very difficult for a woman to go in and have that same experience. So I'm just glad to be able to have this in a book. I remember when I was in my 20s, I went into Oaxaca by myself just to travel, and I bought so many beautiful pieces in there, and it's like you always would have the guys following you around. You know what I mean? It's like, what is this woman doing here by herself? So there, yes. Oh, there's Stacy. So Stacy actually had a really good suggestion. The Amazon link, Christina's going to send that out to us via an email because I'm on Instagram and I can't post links here. I love that I could put photos up with my work here, but ancient Greek, oh my God, scratched words onto pieces. Yes, you really find this. There was an Italian piece that was just in there, you know, so whether they're open or closed, the interesting thing is that you find magic through all of our cultures, you know. It started really, it's like when people are doing all this DNA research now, it's, you know, we find that we all are from somewhere in North Africa, somewhere, you know, in a couple different places. And, you know, all of these, so this is why it's hard. I think I was looking specifically for Indian pieces and charms and jewelry, and I'm finding, you know, all of this Yemen jewelry and all of this Tibetan jewelry. And I used to buy these pieces from Thailand. I thought they were Thai pieces. They're really woven into your hair in India, in Thailand. You know, I don't want to talk too much about India because there are so many beautiful ways. You know, it's so powerful, the jewelry and adornment there. So writing is the power of it. And I, you know, have really I used to just observe and write down these type of embedding things into your pieces. So, you know, in this belief, it's like, if you find a piece, you need these pieces, you need the prayers that are in here. So many years ago, when I was in my 20s, I lived on the north side of Chicago, and I was actually showing up, and I was doing wholesale, but I was also showing up at a couple like jewelry fairs that they'd have. And I would find there were people, you know, I actually was traveling all over the world and collecting all these things, like you saw the handful of things that I collected. And I was putting together pieces from all different countries and adding in some of my own metalwork, not as much, you know, hardly as much now, but my own metalwork and beads from all over, and just combining pieces from all over the world, which I was like, wow, this has got to be a powerful piece with all these people working on it from all over the world. So it was always interesting to me, and I'll tell you guys this, because I always will tell my students, or, you know, myself, that when you build an authentic piece, your piece, you can't help to have people attracted to buy your piece. So I would stand, the first time I was out at a show, I sold every single piece that I had. And, you know, there were all these different pieces and parts from Thailand and all over. And I was so scared to go up there and show up at this fair. It was my first show ever, and I sold every single piece I had. But so from there, I kind of got a confidence going. And when I went to another fair, there would be people who would come up and they would be so fascinated with something, like, oh my God, I love this, you know, and they'd stand and look at it. And I get the same way. Okay, so say it's this, like, oh my gosh. And my prices were high because they were one of a kind. I was paying a lot of money for things and adding in a lot and putting, you know, just doing a lot of work to it. So, yeah. So then what would happen is I would have people that came by and would just get hooked on a piece. I had a woman once who was so mad at me. She asked me the price, and I was like, $450. It was for a big piece. And she was like, what? And she started screaming at me about the price. And then she was like, oh, that's it. And she left. And in my head, I had been doing this long enough that I was like, oh my gosh, she's just mad at me because she knows she needs this piece. She needs whatever the talisman are in here. She needs the energy in there. She needs the messages, the words. She needs it. She just doesn't want to spend the money right now, you know? So, but she happened to walk across there right at the right time. So to me, that's what I'm a believer in, you know, is that kismet energy of when you're calling something to you, you know, it's what all this new business is about now. All this new energy is about now. When you're calling an idea, or you're desiring a dream, or desiring something in your life, you're literally calling it to you. And maybe one of the ways that you call it to you is by bringing in a piece that has these qualities. And then when you wear it every day, it makes you feel like, okay, say this piece is about abundance, you know? If I paid $450 for this piece, when I look at it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I feel so rich, or so wealthy, or so abundant in ideas, or so it's inspiring for me. I have a wealth of ideas, or I have a wealth of, you know, and it really is the way that the energy works. Yes, and you know, so isn't that interesting? And it really does. So even if you don't have an understanding, or don't even want an understanding, like me when I was in my 20s, you know, I loved all these pieces, but I was like, you know, I'm not going to get too deep into this crazy stuff. I was selling to Chicago businesswomen is really who a lot of my pieces went to. We all loved it. You know, I'd wear a piece like this, and somebody would, you know, there was a guy one time who was on the football team, and he stopped me in the elevator in Cleveland, and he's like, whoa, what's that piece that you have on? And I didn't like to draw attention to my work, you know, so I was like, oh, I don't know, it's just a piece. And he was like, wait a second, does that mean something? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, that should mean something, you know. And it's like, this is a businessman. You know, when we're out here in this real hard physical world, we need our pieces with us. And it's what all of this jewelry is about. It's what all of your real stuff is about, which brings us really back to this whole philosophy that I talk about over and over, that even if silver is high, even if we're jewelers, if you make sure to go in your studio and build your real work, you will, your intentions are in there, your love, your sweat, your, if you're loving your work, or you're exploring your work, or you're putting words in your work, that are important to the world, bringing a positive to us, you're always going to sell your work. There's always going to be someone who is drawn to it, Absolutely. Thank you. But it really is. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I grew into the heart of it. Really. It was many, many years for me. And it's like, how can you not have it a part of you? How can you not? For me, even when I'm doing big pieces like this and I don't have inscriptions, I have them on the underside of the bezel, on the inside. I've got it on the inside of here. So, even if they're private words, they will vibrate to the outside of it. And that's what a lot of these, prayer boxes are about. Obviously this one, don't you love that sound? This one is sealed. It's not intended to open. This one is just honoring the deity in here, which I need to look up. And here's the sides of the prayers. And, for me, it's like I definitely made sure I did some cleanses of that. So any of your, prayer boxes and pieces, I grabbed these in case I'd show them. So, for me, it's like all these pieces that are small. And this will be in one of our chapters of intentional metalsmithing. The importance of feathers and prayer boxes in here and intentions. And, even just holding them, even just holding these briefly, and just kind of, for me, embedding your work. When you're embedding your work, you're really embedding it the whole time you're working, which is why I talk about making sure you're clear, doing those yoga breaths that I have at the beginning of in intentional metalsmithing. I have these, if anyone knows a yoga breath, I just do 3 deep breaths, pull everything out so I can come into my work clear. Tracy! Oh my gosh, hi Tracy! Tracy Designs is on here. I don't know if you know Tracy, but she is a friend of mine from way back. She has a pretty cool, interesting product. She actually is building a line of inks that are natural, plant-sourced inks. So if you guys are really into these natural, inks to write your talisman in, that's Tracy. I think it'd be beautiful on all layers. So, so after I clear, it's like for me, even if I'm the quickest, if I have a lot of pieces to do before a show or before I show up, I just kind of close my eyes and I just burst it through in my hands. Just burst my energy. I don't have to put a word in there. I just kind of burst it through, with intentions of what I'm doing here. So, yeah. And, I think, one of the things I mentioned is that when I built the line many years ago of, called, Industrial Chic, which was a super commercial low-end line of talisman, I actually was like, I want to try to see if I can, when the samples came in, I put the energy out there, and then I put the energy out kind of on a bigger level. I don't know. I don't know. Really in ways, it's easier for one-of-a-kind pieces to embed. Every time I wear them, I embed them. So that's really, what is belief. Sometimes you feel crazy thinking this, but across the board, I have a couple books, when I talk about European magical talisman and all of that, they're always, they're written by professors. They're always called witches, something to do with witches, because, the history of European adornment and jewelry and magic, talisman and all of this was always, was pagan considered the religion. It was a big part of the history of the Europeans, so all of it. Jewelry bench is an important altar. I love that. Absolutely. It's your birthing place. Yes. And yes, it's really important to have your things around you that you would love, your things that inspire you. I came in yesterday because I actually talked with the intentional metalsmithing students, and I realized that, see, Christina, she does a lot with Tracy's inks. Check it out if you guys can. But I realized like my space because I just had a big change in my life. My space is really getting ready to clear and clean. I find I have these gems that I know a lot of people purchase these gems. I'm actually having a lot more gems cut, and I will have them up for sale, I say like in a week and a half. They're being cut. Luckily, they get to me really quickly. I love having my gems with me. When I ran across, for me, these gems, I can tell they're ethically sourced. I know he tells me they're ethically sourced. People are rested, they're getting paid well, they're cutting them well, they're digging them well. There's not slave labor, there's not bad intentions. And I can tell when I get my gems in. Yes, to raise your vibrations, absolutely, yes. So really it is important to go into your studio. I kind of gave some of those clearings, and it really is important. Tracy actually has some of my early work. We used to do a lot of trades, and Tracy has a couple of my crazy rings. I did one that had resin paper and wrote words on there and stacked up a whole stack of them. So that was pretty cool. We always loved each other's work, and I have a beautiful, I call Tracy's work happy graffiti, and I'm so grateful for it now. I remember when I used to love rough graffiti, and it's like Tracy's work is so pretty, and it's like I love it so much now because it's part of my new vibration, all the pretty. So, aw, thank you. So, you guys, it does you well in your life. Here's a prayer box with the gems in here that I love. I always lately, I'm just doing different, here's my little flowers and twisted wires that I put on top of my prayer boxes, that I try for. So anyway, that's kind of, a little bit of what I wanted to talk about in prayer boxes today. I know, this is actually a couple months down the road. We're going to be doing this subject in intentional metalsmithing with my crew I have now. But for people who are jewelers in this group, it's just pretty cool. Hey, you know what I also want to tell you guys? Guess what I woke up to this morning? People who know me, there was a little, this is, oh my gosh, can you read it? This is all in Italian. So this is talking about Milan Fashion Week. And there's my jewelry. So anyway, it was pretty cool. I was excited to see, it talks about the magical talisman that I build in my work. And that's my son, Austin, in the left lower hand corner. I made my kids be models for me this year. I knew in fashion that my daughter was in it too, but I knew, they love the guys because they're unusual in wearing jewelry. So anyway, Milan Fashion Week this year is in June of 21, so I have some time. It's been fabulous for me to have this wonderful time. I'll put this up on my website too, but I really got a lot of attention with this work when I was up here last year. It was so exciting. They loved this totem pole work that I did, that I really embedded. It's a big long piece, almost like an exoskeleton piece of ribs and protection and all of this that he's wearing, but you can't really see all of it offhand. So anyways, it made a big splash. This year I'm really doing some, for my jewelry line, I am doing, well, you can see I'm working on layers. I talked about doing, starting from here and just, I'm having pieces end in all different ways. There's more to go. I've got a number of pieces to reach all the way down, plus hands. And so I'm actually working on these big kind of movement performance pieces. I started a drum group. I didn't start it. I joined a drum group that's out here in Cleveland on Sundays right down at the beach. I just got myself a brand new drum that I'm super excited about. Really gets you in this amazing, it's so clearing for me, I feel like, so clearing. And I am getting, oh, the handbag, I know, see? Yeah, see, oh my gosh, we love it all out there. So, there's some dancers always up there, so I'm actually doing this work. I'm getting my work on these dancers. I'm getting my work prepared with all this movement. I've been slowly but surely thinking about it. I think I'm going to be adding a lot of this, well, I'll show you my one piece. I talked to you guys about, your work stemming from one piece. So actually the piece, let me grab it. this piece has been on my mind. You know, sometimes it's a tiny little dot of something that you start a whole line with. And for me, it's this piece. And, you know, I love the clasp. I love the rawness of it. I'm going back into my rivets and all of that. So for me, it's like, I think I'm going to do one here. I might do something like this here. You know, I'll just have a lot of having to do with ancient mastodon bone. Maybe even I can do wouldn't that be nice to put a little prayer box in here like that, you know, of my own making. So anyway, you know, always exciting thinking of all these different approaches to jewelry. I always love fashion. It's exciting for me. I think one of my new beginnings for me, yeah, we should start a drumming group. Oh my God, wouldn't that be amazing in our intentional metalsmithing? Oh my gosh, I'd have to get a little bit better. I've just learned like really the hits and the rhythm, and a lot of times it's just a basic rhythm that you do that puts you into this spiritual state. You know, it's really almost like a hallucinogen, you know, without taking the hallucinogen. So I don't know if you guys, I'll tell you another little story. My sister, my older sister, one not even a year older than me, 11 months, such an interesting person. She actually was a writer, and then in Puerto Rico, she had an environmental column. She wrote a book on all of this global warming, but now it's not climate change, way back in 2009, you know, and people laughed it off. So now people are paying attention. But it's so interesting because her friends were always so interesting. I went down to Puerto Rico with her, and it was the first biosphere. It was we did this big drum group with these scientists and hippies who, you know, and then the next day they were all flying out to be sealed into that original biosphere that was in, I think, Phoenix, Arizona, right? So it was so interesting. It was like this big kind of drumming in this group, and I really enjoyed myself. And that was, I think, one of the first times where I really experienced kind of, you can get out of your body and have this alternate state with drumming. You know, I would have never thought. So that was kind of interesting to me. Oh, I'm a beginner with drumming. Trust me. Okay, you guys. So, you know, with prayer boxes, get into your studios and you know, oh my God. Oh yeah, here on here. See, this actually is a nail head. Can you guys see that? And I put a flower on there. So, you know, with the flowers, you know, that's part of the prayer box is the flowers. So I read. So get in there. You can do one of your, just drum, no worries. Yeah, it takes you sooner or later. You're right. It's like if you just get in, that'd be cool. I was actually listening. I love listening to NPR just because I can get on, you know, rides here and there. I've listened to it for so long. It's public radio when I'm in my car, and you know they're talking about these ukulele people are always so happy, you know, and it's this group that gets onto Zoom together from all over the world, and they just pick together their ukulele, and it just brings out this happiness, you know. They're just happy people, so like that's their vibe. They're like, you can't be an unhappy person and play the ukulele, you know. So think about all these ukulele players getting on Zoom and playing around. So that would be cool to do a drum group that way. Thank you guys for showing up. Oh my gosh. So nice to see you guys on Thursday. I'm always happy to be here. I love this community. It's always nice to see new faces and old faces and all of us guys here. So I'm going to be getting off. It's nice. I'm going to put my big fan back on and cool off. Oh, I wanted to tell you guys one more thing. I actually only have, not a lot of people were signing up for my classes. I know people are afraid to travel now. I got rid of all 3 of my fall classes here and only put into one class in October. I have a 3-day class October 1st for 3 days. And that's the only time I'm teaching here in my studio. Anyone is welcome to sign up. Mexico, we have just about full. There's like 10 people hanging on the wait list for one spot, you know, that haven't put money down yet. So there still is one more spot in Mexico that is right after Thanksgiving. And that's kind of it. So thank you guys. Thank you. And that's all about Talisman. Go into your jewelry studios, go into your writing, go into your all of that. Be a nice collaboration with Tracy and her inks, right? With prayer boxes. So, okay, you guys. Love you. Mwah. I'll see you again next Thursday.